These confessions started innocently. Innocent to the point where I didn't have anything to confess. But 6 months later and 5 confessions later, here I am, confessing. I've only come because my grandma told me to. Her and my mom were worried about me. Something about me struggling to make friends. I told my grandma my favorite Charles W. Eliot quote. Books are the quietest and most constant of friends you know, Grandma. She told me to piss off. Did you know Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird once told his kids that you never truly understand a person until you consider their point of view? Until you crawl into their skin. I couldn't help but think about my dad when I read that line. I started that book last Monday, finished it by Wednesday. I never thought about him in that way. I rang my mom and told her about the quote. She said not to think too much into it. She said she would have no idea. I can't stop. I want to believe that that's why my dad left. Maybe he was scared. Maybe it was the best solution. Maybe he did it for us. I need to know. I've become obsessed. Something about Atticus Finch and the dad he was sparked something in me. I spent every spare minute reading books about good dads. It's all I thought about. All I spoke to the priest about. I told my mom about them and my grandma, hoping I'd convince them that my dad was justified in leaving and that maybe one day he'd come back to explain himself. Until Christmas Day. My grandma had told me to lay off the books before I got home for Christmas. Said it was stressing my mom out and that I'm looking for answers that don't exist. And I've always trusted her, so I didn't mention a single book. But Ben asked me to read him A Christmas Carol on Christmas afternoon. He had watched the film the day before and wanted to see if I could do all the voices of the different characters. I was just reading. That's all. Bob held his withered little hand in his, as if he loved the child, and wished to keep him by his side, and dreaded to think that someone could take him away. I should have known better. Ben burst out crying, asking why we couldn't have a father like Bob Cratchit. I told him that he had me, and that maybe we do have a father like that. We just don't know it yet. But nothing I said worked. And that's when Grandma came into the room, 2 bottles of wine deep. She had had enough of me. Told me to get my act together and to stop reading such stupid books. She said that university had turned me into some obsessive monster and that no example of a father in any novel would ever change the type of dad mine was. Lived a double life for over 10 years and chose the other family because this mistress's father died and she inherited a house and 2 businesses. She told me that her and Mom found this out by reading an article about beloved businessman of the North. And there it was. A statement from my dad and this other wife. My mom couldn't believe it at first. So she went onto Facebook to search the woman because she thought it was funny. But then she saw the pictures of him and 3 kids she never met or heard of, and she wasn't laughing anymore. He lives somewhere in Salford, and that's why Mom was scared of me moving here. Not because I'd be away from home, but because there's a chance that I could bump into him. I hate him. With this negative truth of my dad came a negative change of heart, and the books to match. Books with the worst dads fueled my need to track down my dad. My reading started innocently. These confessions started innocently. Innocent to the point where I had nothing to confess. But 6 months later, 5 confessions later, here I am, confessing. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I actually have this time. I've been reading Shakespeare, Father. Titus Andronicus kills his own son, Mutius, but his other son, Lucius, tells him he's wrong in doing so. My lord, you are unjust, and more than so, in wrongful quarrel have slain your son. Titus is unfazed that he has murdered his own child. He doesn't give a fuck. Nor thou, nor he are any sons of mine. My sons would never so dishonor me. But Father, I've dishonored mine.